Hey everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, greatest screenwriter in the history of the world, recovering homeless guy on day 7 of my unemployed experiment. I'm binging unemployment, the experience of it, that is, right now. Standard fare, first of all, applying to jobs, cut a bunch of recurring payments that I was making for, not payments, like contributions to different people and causes I support. Um, I was I just started doing monthly contributions to Ramsey Robinson for California governor. But then lost my job, so stopped those. But still following his campaign, very much support him. Check him out, Ramsey Robinson, socialist candidate for governor with the Peace and Freedom Party. I learned that the Peace and Freedom Party has a whole infrastructure to hold candidates accountable. In other words, it's not like where you can just register. This is my understanding. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but you cannot just register with the Peace and Freedom Party and run as a candidate, or maybe you can, I don't know. But generally, it's like they select people to be candidates, and so you're constantly beholden to them, who want you to keep the party line of like siding with workers, ending anti-blackness in California, cleaning the air, the water, making communities livable, public transportation, and divesting from Israel. A whole bunch of other great stuff on his platform, very detailed. Also, yesterday I went to, I didn't donate. Now I'm not sure if I will, because just because I don't, have a job. But Kenneth Mejia for city controller, I think he has a great platform and a great like insights. I won't say like leadership in a way, because city controller is like an accountant, so he's not exactly leading, but he is leading in a way. But he's um, auditing the city, like especially police, their helicopter usage. They were terrorizing me out today. I had to put in earplugs. I was out at a courtyard in Culver City, and 2 helicopters were just hovering nearby. They may not have been LAPD actually, but the LAPD helicopters do terrorize us, especially when I was in Koreatown. They were god awful. Not so bad on the west side, but that and like the homeless services, because they are siphoning money off like crazy, and it's going to executives and not really helping homeless people. And Kenneth Mejia, he's like the real deal. So I was out with him yesterday, did a little volunteering, sort of. I actually didn't get to volunteer because when I showed up, they had finished packing all the materials that they were shipping out. But I hung out and met the other volunteers, and I hope to be back out more. So I'm feeling a little bit of the blues, I guess, or sadness over the job. It comes in waves. It's like that was my identity in a way. And I'm not going into any details about it. It's just, it's what happens, unfortunately, and in anywhere in corporate uh, leadership, and in America, and certainly in the film industry. So if you've seen the news lately, Netflix is trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which also owns HBO, for $82 billion. Now I just learned Paramount is putting in a bid, like a hostile bid. It's called, I don't know, somebody called it, I can't remember her name, a YouTuber, a hostile bid to buy it too. Whichever way it goes, this is all a shit deal for workers. And that, to be clear, I was not in any of those companies. But even so, I'm like, God, this industry. I'll have more thoughts someday. But for now, I'm like, I want to be in spaces where I still write. I am very dedicated to my writing. I'm very dedicated to wanting to make my own films. But yeah, I don't want to work with the film industry. Someday I will share more of my thoughts, but you can read plenty of stories. Basically, yeah, man. So I want to be in spaces that are meaningful to me personally, because working on movies in whatever capacity is not the same as like making your own movies, and certainly not the same as watching them. Um, Maybe I'll work on sets again. I'm not against that. Actually, that's not a bad idea. While I'm applying to jobs, I could apply to work on film sets. It's kind of now, the other thing is it's tricky because I don't have a car. Before, the car was the lifeline to the film set because we don't have adequate public transportation. And shoots can be all over, anywhere. You have what's called what are called company moves, where you're in one location part of the day, you move to another location, or just one day to the next. You're in different locations, different parts of Southern California, and they can be far apart. They can be completely inaccessible by public transportation, and certainly by bike. Um, but I'm getting involved more in the spaces that are meaningful to me, in addition to the film stuff. So like active transportation, public transportation, even just being on the train. I'm going to events related to getting more housing built, getting like Kenneth Mejia's volunteer thing. What else I did? I'm sure I've done. Every day I'm doing something. What did I do Saturday? I can't even remember now. Let me look at my calendar. I got it on the wall here. Oh, I crossed something out. Oh, I went to the food bank, so not really an event, but I went to the food bank, which is way out in Sun Valley. So I had to ride my bike to the metro, take transfer on the metro basically with my bike another 4 miles or so from the North Hollywood metro, get a bunch of food loaded up in my backpack and my tote bag. I foolishly forgot to bring my pannier bag, which clips on the side of my rear rack because I don't use it much. I should have used that. And then I got a little over ambitious trying to move my bags around on my shoulder. I had a solo crash on the road. Someone behind me in a car was very nice, came out, helped get my bike off the road. I had the wind knocked out of me, scraped my elbow in a few places. I got a cut on my shoulder there, hit my knee, my left leg hurt a little bit, but I'm very lucky. Like I was not seriously injured. I'm like, oh man, and it gave me an adrenaline rush. It messed up the front brakes on my wheel. They were rubbing the rim, and I sort of basically I just made the brakes super loose. I didn't have the right tool, like a Phillips screwdriver, to loosen the springs on the brakes. So when I got home, like maybe it was the next day, I looked up how to, or that night, fix the brakes so they don't rub on the rim, and I was so happy I did it. There's also I'm also learning about all these like sort of like inclusive spaces or volunteer spaces, co-op spaces where like I'm getting free groceries. I've got a place to hang out, so I don't just run up the utilities at home. Also, I don't want to just sit at home when I'm writing. I want to be out. I still want to be out and active and get good exercise. I'm biking more now than when I had a job. Um, so like there's a place I can study and meet comrades. It's a revolutionary bookstore. It is awesome. I'm just every time I go there, it's like I'm talking to someone and learning so much, including the stuff about the Peace and Freedom Party. I've supported Ramsey Robinson already. I switched my party affiliation from Democrat to Peace and Freedom. I cannot support the Democrats anymore. I will say I'll support individual Democrats, but by and large, like we need a third party. Other countries have done it in much more dire circumstances. A third party that's for peace. It's again, we have to be internationalist against empire and war around the world, and extraction and colonialism, and for abundance and prosperity and a clean environment and lives with dignity at home. So good housing, public transportation, end of corporate monopolization, exploitation, giving workers protections, giving workers vote in the workplace, democracy in the workplace, changing from an extraction and war economy in which companies count like the economy going up as just more exchange and limitless growth, to democratically directed economy that's creates things for the use of by people, instead of just limitless growth for crap we don't need and that damages us and destroys us. I just made a short talking about how Pete Hegseth said about these Venezuelan boats, they're just killing people wantonly on as a pretense to get Venezuela's oil. The military needs oil. And he said, if you poison Americans with drugs, we're going to, whatever, do all that nonsense. First of all, I'm just like, as a person, like, never brag about killing people. It's just so horrible. But this degenerate, drunk, and serial woman abuser just exposes like how little we actually care about human life here. Because if you say that you're against poisoning people, like killing them, cars kill 40,000 people a year in America like clockwork. Why? Because we built out for cars. We actively gutted or rolled back public transportation measures. There's a much longer history behind that, in which car companies and white supremacists, kind of same thing, fuse together to build out the suburbs, keep black and brown people from moving out of the inner cities, subsidize mortgages for white people to move out of the inner cities to the suburbs, where then there isn't enough density, like apartments, to support public transportation to make it viable. And so people have to drive to get around everywhere, and you have to flatten large sections of cities to build freeways for the white people to drive back and forth. And where do you think they destroyed? Largely the black and brown neighborhoods, which are subsequently poisoned by the bad air and suffer from lower property values and more crashes and disinvestment in their cities, overcapitalization of the police, which is a nice way of saying the police fucking terrorize people. I'm reading this book, City of Courts. Good God, it's harrowing. When Mike Davis talks about what the LAPD did to people for decades here. Yeah, he's not against that. The Trump administration is against building more public transportation. They cut funding for it, saying it's hostile to cars, and for bike lanes, for active transportation measures, all the things that make cities livable, safe, more affordable, cleaner air, financially viable, so you don't have to own a car to get around. They're gutting that. They're not against poisoning your air, your water. Think about just the tires that get dumped into the ocean and into landfills. They don't last nearly as long as train wheels, and they don't get nearly as many people around. They're only carrying usually one person, or like 1.2 people, I guess is the average. And for short distances, most trips are like under 8 miles for most people. These are things that could be done with public transportation, or large, heavily augmented by it, that reduces emissions, that makes cities more livable, more affordable, more peaceful, more quiet, creates more of a community, makes for less isolation, and also it's a pressure on employers to pay people more, because they know if they don't have to spend money on a car to survive, they can afford basically to be like me and have some stability while I look for jobs where I'm not absolutely desperate. Believe me, that's not a thing I take for granted. I could have that crash I had on my bike, that could have done, like, wiped out everything, and then some. But yeah, I felt a little down, feeling like, oh, I'm rejected. They didn't want me. They kicked me out. But it's not really that. It's this is normal, and I'm feeling my emotions and trying to be embodied and experience them fully, not hide from them. And by experiencing them fully while conveying safety to my body, keeping my diet good, I am gaining a little bit of weight. Been eating nice, this free food, but drinking lots of water, tea. I got a free matcha drink with, like, I was gonna say oyster. What was it? Mushroom and spirulina and elephant's trunk or something. Some at lion's mane. Trying to keep it healthy, and also my mind healthy. So I'm as busy as ever, and got to see, like, I don't know what I was gonna say, but anyway, so many ways we poison people here. Lack of health care. Again, the transportation issue, lack of housing, lack of good nutrition. All of these problems are extremely profitable for a small amount of people who are, I can't even say the Trump regime, because it's Democrats too. They absolutely oppose progressive, let alone socialist interventions or programs to alleviate this stuff and reverse this stuff and to build a better way, not just to socialist interventions, but socialist economy where workers own the workplace. Instead, we have CEO consolidation, executive consolidation, rich people getting filthy rich, the filthy rich getting even more filthy rich. So, trying to keep it all in perspective. Meanwhile, my mom's doing well. She's bummed out about me losing my job, and I get that. And it's like, hey, we're having to rely on each other and keep each other's spirits up, because this was a big thing in a way. But fortunately, I have experienced being down and out, being homeless. That's what gave me the knowledge of how to get to the food bank, all this other stuff that it's just helping me be resilient. What I could really use is free dish soap, because it's so damn expensive and they don't have it at the food bank, and free pens. I go through a lot of pens. So I should have collected more pens back when I was showering at Planet Fitness every day when I was homeless. They had a cup of free pens. I never took much advantage of those. I should have grabbed, like, pens when I was driving across the country. Just grab a few. They don't care. I'd have purple pens for years. Anyways, also, build homes, ban cars, be gay. Hey, words to live by. I am trying, okay, on the last one, but I'm not perfect. So, That's how it is for a lot of people. So we have to rely on each other. We have to educate ourselves. I want to read so much more about Marxist literature, or not about it, but read Marxist literature. So to be clear, Mike Davis here is a was he passed away, a Marxist professor, and I've got another book from the library. That's right, free books. That's socialism for you. Ecology of Fear, that I'm going to start next. Yeah, I wish I didn't spend so much on books and meals out and all this other stuff over the years, but I learned the hard way. So, anyways, that's where I'm at. Trying to be well and be very active, and also I want to learn how to fix my bike more. I'm going to go to this bike co-op called Bikerwave tomorrow, probably, to get a new chain on it and learn how to put it on myself. So, anyways, thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you think.